Hi, hope you're having a great day like I am. And in this first talk, I plan to talk about how much has helped me to try different poetry writing styles. And that's something that I believe has really been key to just what I've gotten to do as a poet. Being able to really play around, being able to get out of the kinds of writing that I really felt like defined my style or defined my voice or that I was trapped in, to keep growing, to keep being new to different kinds of writing, different kinds of poetry writing, and therefore to poetry itself, to keep trying things that I don't know how to do. And I got a wonderful help with that in the fall of 2002 when I started in the wonderful poetry MFA program at Southern Illinois University in Carbondale. And the poet teacher who I got to spend the most one-on-one time with that semester was Rodney Jones. And he said to me, see if you can get to a place where you can go wild. Maybe he said a little wild or kind of wild or something like that. But he used the word wild and suggested that I try to do that with my poetry. And I don't remember asking him anything like, how do you do that? Which would have been a good question. Maybe, but it came to me to go to the library and get a book of, it's like a literary dictionary. There might have been 10 of them in that library, and I actually don't remember who wrote this. It was old, it was kind of taped together, and I don't remember ever seeing it again, but there I got to look at different kinds of poems and see some simple suggestions about how to try to write them. And then I got to just dive in and start trying those. Like I remember it had how to write a sestina, the type of poem that has 7 stanzas and the same 6 end words on each of the first 6 stanzas. And there was no way that I was going to be able to write a sestina that made sense, that said anything coherent or that told a story that people could understand. But I was blessed with the willingness to just try the form, just play with it, pick out 6 different words and just, okay, these words are going to go at the end of the line. I have no idea what's going to happen before then, but let's just see what happens. And that was a wonderfully helpful type of poem for me to try writing, because there was no way for me to really for me to control what I was saying in the poem, if I was going to fulfill the form. And it was a lot of fun. And then I remember there was a kind of poem in there suggested called, I think it's débat, French word, and it suggested, or it was a form where, like the word suggests, it was a debate, where you could take 2 different sides of an argument and write a section of the poem from one side and a section of the poem from the other one. And so I got to try that, and there were a bunch of other things like that I believe I got to try. Pretty sure I got to try a villanelle, maybe a pantoum, and none of them I remember turning into finished poems. But that was really part of the freedom of it, that I could go wild with my poetry writing because nobody ever had to see it. And then another thing that really helped me uh, to try different styles was to read different styles of poetry. And Rodney helped me with that by suggesting at least a couple of books that were very different from each other style-wise. One of them was Sun Underwood by Robert Haas, and the other one was Houseboat Days by John Ashbery. And Sun Underwood I found to be very calm, very narrative and meditative, where I got a sense that the poet was really trying to help me understand what he had to say. And Houseboat Days was the opposite. It was line after line that I couldn't see any connection between, and like, what is the poet trying to say here? Well, if I keep asking that question, I'm never going to get through the poem. And so I really I got to see helpful things in both of those. And then another one that I remember from that semester was the book called Eroticon with a K by Susan Mitchell. And maybe I heard Rodney talking about that, or one of my other wonderful fellow MFA poets. And I found it in the library, SIU library, and that was prose stanzas, and they made a certain sense while also going in a lot of different directions. And Haas and Ashbery are both lineated or free verse, and so that really helped me too, because it was clearly a book of poetry, and but it was doing something I found to be very different from the other two. And so those were three of the voices that I was really helpfully introduced to: Susan Mitchell, Robert Haas, and John Ashbery. And then there was a book by Mark Doty called Source that I got to read during that time as well, that I found to be really focused on images, on helping me see what the poet was talking about. And that's something that really started to help me as well. Just to recognize, okay, this is a form of writing that can really help, that can speak to my imagination in a powerful way. And the other three poets had done that in different ways too, but in that Mark Doty book I found a really helpfully developed images. Things like the sky and the city. And so those were two primary ways that I was helped to let my poetry writing get into a wilder place. And trying different kinds of poems and reading different kinds of poetry. And then it also really helped me to have a nice writing space. And I was really fortunate to have that in my apartment at the time. Which I guess I have since then too. Quiet, pleasant atmosphere, nice journals to write in. I had these kind of thick, brown, sturdy journals. And time, plenty of time. No need to worry about punching out, punching a clock. And all of those, I believe, have been really important for me. Trying to just let my poetry get out there, to grow, basically to do what it, or the muse, or the subconscious, or whatever it is really intending to do. So, thank you.